Rowley to be followed by John Mason.
Presiding officer, whilst Gavin Brown and Willie Rennie pat each other on the back for where they are, it's worth remembering that in 2010, when they went into government, when the Tories, with the support of the Liberals, went into government, that we were coming out of a recession. The economy was growing from what was the first global banking crisis and a global recession, and we were coming out of it. And I would put to both parties that it was as a result of, a direct result of the economic policies that were then pursued and the austerity measures that were pursued, that we didn't continue to grow, and we didn't continue to grow at the rate of what we should have done, and that's why we're not in a place now. And I've only got 5 minutes. And the other key points I think it's worth making to the Tories in particular is that whilst employment is growing, you need to look at the types of jobs that are actually being created within the economy, and the levels of unfairness, the levels of inequality in the economy are not being tackled. Low pay, zero wage contracts. In effect, most workers haven't had to take a 5-year pay freeze, while energy prices continue to rise, while the cost of living continued to rise. So people were not actually at this stage in a really good place in terms of their budgets and how they move forward. And the other big problem with the Tory austerity is that it is an attack on the poor. It's not about saying we'll all take our share and we'll all have to suffer equally in terms of coming out of this. The type of welfare reforms that we're seeing taking place, the sanctions and the kind of targets that are being put on sanctions is, for the first time probably since the 40s, is creating absolute poverty in communities across Scotland. So that is an absolute failure of economic policy, no matter how you measure it. And that cannot be right, and is not right. And Mark McMillan mentioned the fact about, rather than a war on the poor, let's go after the tax dodgers, the tax cheats, the tax evaders, and start to collect the billions upon billions of pounds that can be brought in to start to actually address the deficit. And the fact is, the Tory Chancellor has not addressed the deficit, and we still have major problems in terms of the levels of debt in this country. And to be honest, we still have a major problem in terms of our economy, in terms of what it produces and the manufacturing base, which was destroyed by the 18 years that we had a Tory government previously. But I do want to, in the short time that I've got, I do want to come on to speak about the policies in terms of what John Swinney and the Scottish Government are putting forward. And I don't think it is to attack with bile, if you like, that's been suggested when you question the impact that full fiscal autonomy would have on the Scottish economy in the short to medium term as you go forward. Because all the evidence suggests that I mean, the figure was being used, and the figure that was given by the independent advice for the Scottish Parliament was that the Barnett formula would result at £6.5 billion that would have to be made up from some place with full fiscal autonomy. And I think it's a legitimate question to put to the Deputy First Minister, is where would we make up that difference, and how would we make up that difference? And I think if you have a genuine concern, as I do, that that would either result in major cuts in public services or a need to increase taxes at a time where that would be damaging equally to the economy, then it's legitimate to ask the question, would full fiscal autonomy not result in deeper cuts and deeper job losses than what we've actually experienced? So I think the Deputy First Minister has to argue that. And my final point would be that even in terms of his amendment, where he talks about the economy performing and starting to tackle inequalities, I don't believe this government actually has a clear anti-poverty strategy. I've been looking and found that you had a framework to tackle poverty and income inequality in Scotland in 2008. I'm told there's been some updates. I can't measure this to see where these outcomes have been achieved. If there is no clear anti-poverty strategy for Scotland, we're not going to start to tackle inequality and poverty
poverty. So these are legitimate points that I think are raised with the Government.
I'm afraid you need to finish. Thank you.